speaking for the trenches, this that boss talk.
White sneaks, no crease, how the boss walk.
I be shooting from the logo, this that boss talk.
I don't want the middleman, hit the boss up.
She gon' make it shake more, cause her boss talk.
Stayed down, made a plan, had the boss up.
Lil' dip with the lean, this how boss walk. A lot of niggas be thinking they boss when it comes to that talking, all them words that are lost. A lot of niggas be thinking they boss, like Harden with the moves, I'ma shimmy when you fall.
Choose to do what everybody doing, I ain't basic. And I want it all, no cap, that's a statement. What's understood ain't gotta be explained, understatement. They let us all chill in wrong water, I ain't drinking.
Are we back with Boss Talk? It's Josh.
And it's Keys.
Welcome to another episode of Boss Talk. We talk sports, music, the culture. Welcome to the Boss's Circle. You already know what we do, man. We got two special guests in the building today. You know, they are like really pioneers at this thing for real, man. They've been doing this for a long time. You know, they've been making crazy waves in the industry, you know, with podcasting, with tours, everything, man. Welcome to Boss Talk. We got official TRPE, the Realest Podcast Ever with C. Diddy and Matt. Welcome to Boss Talk, guys.
Thank y'all for having us. What's good, fellas?
What's going on? What's going on?
You already know.
Same shit.
Same shit.
Different day, man.
Yeah. It'd be kind of crazy hearing them intros at times. It'd be like, damn, I am a legend. Like, seriously, you don't think about that shit.
No, sometimes you gotta hear it, because what happens is when you're doing stuff and you're doing so much, you just doing it. You're going on with life.
Exactly.
You don't really understand what you're doing. Like I be telling him all the time, like a few months ago we was just West Philly kids. Like now people actually know us. He went to a concert a while ago and people stopping him like, hey, I know you.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, damn. Like, we didn't even think it was like that.
That's how you know you're making an impact.
Yeah, we didn't think it was like that. So it was like little shit like that keep you going. But
yeah, it humbled.
I'm making some big moves though. So y'all deserve your flowers, man.
Thank you, man. We
deserve your flowers, man. The clap working?
Yeah.
We got the clap. Can we get a clap, man?
Oh, wait, the clap is not working.
See, the clap was acting funky the other day.
Out.
Clap out, man. We here though. Give me flowers, man.
There you go. The clap was on tape delay.
Yeah.
Them headphones loud as shit because I heard it perfectly.
Yeah.
The headphones not on. That's funny as shit.
Yeah, you started your podcast in 2017, right?
Right.
It's been a long time, man. You know, when podcasts wasn't even really cool and popular as it is today. You know, just talk about like what made y'all start podcasts. You know, why?
The podcast kind of started just from like organically from our friendship. Me and him now, it's 2023. We probably known each other since like 2010, 2011.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we've known each other since like 10, 11. And at one point we were neighbors.
Really?
Like we lived like a couple blocks from each other, whatever. So when he was working for SEPTA, he would be driving the bus. He'd see me coming in and out, or we'd see each other in traffic, or see each other at the Wawa and stuff like that.
I just be like, that nigga up to something. Fuck this nigga always outside. Like,
so
This before you guys knew each other?
we like knew each other's social media.
Okay.
Wow.
But we just kept seeing each other, whatever. And then, you know, you see people enough, you start talking to them. And then it's like, you know, we ended up evolving, getting each other phone number, whatever, start hanging out, kicking it, stuff like that. And, you know, we would have these talks or whatever. And, you know, just kind of like based around our talks, it just kind of like one conversation bled into another. And just over time, you know, we just be talking about a bunch of different shit. And then when the voice note thing got popping on, on messages or whatever on Apple, that's when we really started like kicking it up, because it's like he's working, I'm working. We don't necessarily have time for like a phone conversation, but just as we going out throughout the day, whatever. I just went through this. So he'd be sending me something, telling me a story, whatever like that, and then it evolved from there. And it was we had a mutual friend or whatever, our homie Ra, DJ R to the Izza, and
shout out to you.
We all collectively like jumped in a group chat or whatever, and then started talking about like, you know, sports and sports betting and different trends and stuff like that. And then that was like evolved into like cultural conversation and like what's your experiences like, you know, with this or that, or work stories, and it just kind of was all one big you know, big evolving conversation.
Y'all been podcasting.
Right. Yeah,
it really was.
Exactly.
It was really podcasting.
Yeah.
To be real, like our group chat is like no bullshit. It's like we going on like probably like 8 years of that group chat. It's been like an 8-year episode of the podcast. Wow. And I tell people all the time, what y'all hear on the show is like, it's almost like the bleed off.
This episode of Boss Talk is sponsored by Wanda Barber.
Hey, I need a cut bad. Any good barbers here?
Any good barbers? Yo, shop you in this Wanda Barber.
Wait, Wanda Barber?
You mean award-winning celebrity barber? That Wanda Barber? The one that got his cuts on ESPN, you know, BET, ABC? Come on, you're not talking about him, right?
Yeah, that one. What barber you know cut NBA?
Black with his thorns. And there's Duran with a dunk, and now he has a career high.
NFL.
191 rushing. Another carry for Sanders, and this one breaks loose. He's headed for the end zone. Touchdown.
Entrepreneur and the community's here. Juan.
You ain't gotta say no more. Hey Juan, I'm ready for the Magical Clippers right now. Let's get it.
All right, bet I got you, bro. Oh, I got bro first. He was there first.
Come on, man.
Hey, chill, bro. There's enough cuts to go around, bro. I got both of y'all niggas today. Chill.
All right, bet.
Like, damn, y'all niggas drunk.
Right.
Like I be having to catch myself at times now where I don't even want to throw a topic into the group chat just because I don't want to fuck it up for when we record.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
right.
Yeah, I get that.
And you know, we, like I said, like he said, Ra I grew up with. Like me and Ra known each other since we was kids. Him and Ra knew each other from the nightlife. Yeah. He was a big party promoter. Ra was a big DJ.
Yeah.
Party promoter.
Yeah.
So that's how they knew each other. So Ra's like, yeah, you know, Chad, you know, because I be down Vault and Chad's always doing parties and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, me and Chad, we met. First time I actually met him physically was at Mikey's.
Yeah.
On Monday. I came in there with people and it was like, yeah, this Chad and A.O. John. It was just like, okay, yeah, I know C. Diddy from Twitter or whatever. And that was how we met. And like he said, we lived near each other and I was out of work at the time I popped my Achilles. So we just would be like kicking it. You know what I'm saying? I'd be outside, he coming up and down the block, pull over. Then we had two mutual friends, Rick and Dev, who lived up there. Dev, again, I know my whole life. Rick, he known his whole life. I work with Rick Pop. And it just somehow all made sense.
This is like the Philadelphia, like a neighborhood in Philly?
Roxborough.
Like
we was all in Roxborough.
Wow.
So, you know, we just see each other, what you doing, what you do, yo, what's up with you, you go somewhere. And then, you know, one thing I've realized too, that whole no new friends is the biggest bullshit of black. like you supposed to meet new people and constantly evolve. Yeah. And I kind of realized like after a while, like, yo, like our moral compass aligns. Like the things we want in life, the things we care about, it all makes sense. So it's like, that's how we got cool where it's like, yo, I'm going through, like you said, it wouldn't just be, yo, what's up with this bitch? What's up with, it'd be like, yo, do anybody got any experience dealing with this bank? Because I'm trying to get approved for this. Or do anybody got experience with, like I learned how to flip a home dealing with a hard money lender just through him dealing with the process of flipping a crib.
Adding value.
Adding value. That's exactly what
so it's a lot of little things that like just like you lay the foundation and then you start meeting people's family. You start, like I said, we all had mutual friends. You start meeting each other's girls, meeting each other's brothers, and like I know his dad. You know what I'm saying?
That's how you know it's real.
Yeah, like, you know, so it's just like, yeah, like, you know, his mom walk up to me like, I'm so proud of y'all. And I'm just like, it's crazy. Like I know his mom, like it just, you know, you build a friendship and like a connection. And then like he had the idea of doing a podcast, and like you just said, we didn't know what podcasting was.
Yeah, just doing it.
Yeah, he came to my crib, was like, yo, we gotta do this podcast. I'm just like,
what the fuck?
Well, you want some of these wings? I just took out this like, what the fuck you talking about?
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And he like, no, like I'm like our conversations are that good. We gotta put them on something. And I'm just like, all right. And he came from internet radio. Like he had did that years ago.
Yeah.
And
me and DJ A Boogie had an internet radio show together.
Oh, a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this was already instilled and you already knew what it took. Like,
Yeah, so that was my introduction into like
media and stuff.
being on air and formatting, and you know what I'm saying. And it's like with radio, we're literally like throwing to music. Like we debuted music on our show, like, you know what I'm saying. We would have like call-ins and stuff like that. So that got me with the like production part of like, you know, producing radio and being on air talent and all of that shit. And so from that, I'm like, all right. I start really getting into listening to this show, radio show on satellite, Opie and Anthony. And they are pretty much like the precursor to like modern day podcasts, like them and Howard Stern, because the format is very similar. It's like sit down interviews, it's talk radio, it's limited to like no music or whatever like that.
It's all audio.
Yeah, and then with them, Opie and Anthony, they would like go in the field and like do pranks. So they would almost do like the modern day version of like streaming or whatever like that. They would go in the field and do pranks. They would mobilize the Opie and Anthony army to come to competitors like radio stations and stuff. And they would have interviews, and then they had like special correspondents that would be like recurring guests and stuff like that.
That's where Patrice O'Neal.
That's where Patrice O'Neal broke, the comedian Patrice O'Neal. So I took all of that into account as far as like how we formatted our show, because originally it was supposed to be 3 of us, and then it ended up being where Rob was like, yo, I'm trying to figure something else out. He was in the early throes of becoming a professional handicapper for sports betting. And now he does that for The Ringer now and Spotify. So we both had similar, dreams in terms of we want to do stuff centered around like content and talking and this and this and this. But Rod thing was more analytical, and he just kind of went that way and found his way back to the content space. Where now he's got like 5 or 6 shows on Spotify that he's one of the primary on-air personalities with for FanDuel and for the Ringer or whatever like that. So basically, Rod broke off. Was doing that, he became almost like a correspondent, where it was like certain stuff that was like industry specific to whether it be football or basketball, or then we started evolving the conversation into sports betting on the air and stuff like that. And he would come in and add value here and there. He came on. We did a show about like Black Panther and stuff when the movie came out and why it was important, because Matt didn't give a fuck about it. So Ra and other people had to come on and explain like why this is like a cultural moment for Black people and why people is dressing up to go to the movie theater and stuff like that. So we basically had our formation where it was like me and him. We would have certain people that was recurring guests, people like Rob, people like Pastor Carl Day. AO came on a couple of different times early on. He did a 5-hour show with us, and he came back, did our first live show as a special guest, stuff like that. So we would have our revolving cast of characters, and then we would do interviews here and there with other people that made sense. So one of the early people we interviewed was Spank Horton. Another person we did a joint with was Clint Coley. And like to and through Clint, now there's a business connection that came back, 6 years later, they came back around where he was in a position to help us do something because of the work he did in podcasting, and we were his first podcast interview. So it's like
full circle moments.
So it's like all of these different moments. Like right now, I'm just visualizing and seeing them, because when we do interviews, we never really talk about like the moments and like the journey, so to speak. It's just more so like, okay, we thought this is concept, this is the main plot point, this is when it turned around, this is where we are now, as opposed to like all the different like little individual steps that create this bigger thing, that when you look back at a 600 episode content library, every single one of them mattered for a different reason.
Yo, that full circle moment, like it low-key bring chills to you if you really like think intuitively about some of them, because it's like it really brings you to where you are today. Like literally, without each piece of the puzzle, you probably wouldn't be where you are.
That's why I said every last piece matters. Like when you get a puzzle, you go to Walmart or used to be Toys R Us, and you get a puzzle and it's 1,000 pieces. Every piece matters because with missing pieces, you don't see the full picture.
You don't see the full picture.
Damn, that's
real right. One missing piece to change everything. No, that's dope though.
So, well, watch this, y'all. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna see what he gonna say. 276.
260.
That's that alum shit.
That's alum shit. He went to Central. I went to Central. So I had to just do that.
I'm kind of showing my age, because if y'all know his age, then y'all can just add 16 to it, and then y'all gonna know my damn age. So.
It lets you know that he's smart. He know what hard work is right there.
Right. I was one of Dr. Pavel's kids, man.
Wow, see that Dr. Pavel thing left right before I started.
Okay.
We had McKinnon that started. Because I started in 2014, something like that. 2013.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
Central alum, man. I hate when I walk around. I just hear 556. Bro, I will slap the shit out of you.
Yeah, straight up.
2016, nigga. Was when I walked out.
What school did you go to?
I went to a private school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was
Your parents cared about you.
What
was
the school name?
It was called Greater Hope.
Okay.
It was called Greater Hope Christian Academy. It was a private school.
Where's it at?
71st and Woodland. I played ball.
All right, yeah. I feel like I know I've seen it because I'm from Southwest. So I feel like I've seen that. Yeah. All right, yeah.
Oh yeah, y'all said y'all met up like Roxborough, Maniac.
Yeah. That's where we spent the most of the time hanging out. So we lived up there.
D'Alessandro's guys.
I'm not, but
once upon a time,
I just can't deal with them people.
Listen, once upon a time, D'Alessandro's was amazing. And because it was so amazing, it got them super stupid busy.
Yeah.
And any business, most businesses aren't able to maintain mass production with the same level of quality as when it was more like a craft business as opposed to this big mammoth thing where hundreds to thousands of people come every day. So the quality has definitely
once it became a landmark.
Yeah, it literally became a landmark. Like
that's true. I will say that. I was getting them things since like 2012. So yeah.
Like I remember back in the early 2000s. I went to school up there. I went to Saul. So it's like D'Alessandro's and Chubby's was like the place to go.
Bro, I never got a Chubby's. I did get a Chubby steak once in my life.
Yeah, I mean, they was the places to go though, because that was like a happening little side, back and forth. And over the years, it's just like
it's just taking
like, and then you factor in the energy that you get. Like I'm very finicky when it comes to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got like one shot to mess up.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm be honest. Like us as black people, let's just keep it a buck. We're harder on black business than we are. We give so much leeway to all these other businesses, and then black people look at you like you crazy when it's just like, nah, I'm the flip side. Like you got one mess up.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I kind of transformed from just doing that with black businesses. I'm like that anywhere I go, because a lot of black businesses have gotten better now.
Like you go to these places that are like land, and let's keep it a buck. The landmark food places that you see on the Food Network and on the magazine and all of that, Philly Mag and all that, it's 90% of them are white-owned businesses. Right. Like these are the landmarks that they tell us about through Philadelphia culture. Yeah. And you go there and it's almost like we're not happy to have you. It's like you're supposed to be here because it's the, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, where'd you see us at?
Yeah. As opposed to just, what if I live in a community and I enjoy the food?
Right, and I just fuck with it. I feel that.
So it's a lot of places around the city where it's like you get there and they carry almost this like attitude of like, what do you want?
What do you want?
Like you're here and just
So to me it's just a lot of other cheesesteaks to me that are just.
I'm a Max's guy.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. We had this conversation on Cooking Up. I was like, be all the way live. Like, give me a dirty cheesesteak, please.
Okay,
that's an authentic Philly cheesesteak.
I feel like
Philly gems.
Yeah, give me some.
Philly gems.
I can't do gems.
I think
the gems on 61st
I did watch the episode. I remember you was talking about the gems. That was the best.
That was the best one.
That was the best.
I went out the county to the Falones out the county, and I saw they shut it down.
Oh, they shut the Falones down?
They shut it. They had it shut down, like the orange sticker on the window. I'm like, oh man, when they open back up, can't wait.
Yeah, Falones gonna be lit. They work about the orange sticker
they
for
get
sure.
Shit together and it's
You gotta be right on the verge of like shutting. That's some Philly shit. I remember there's a Poppy store down the street from Old Depot, and I remember going in there and I ordered like a wing ding platter, like wing ding and fries or whatever. And he was like, Poppy, we changing the grease. I'm like, y'all changed the grease?
That shit while that old shit's still in there, right?
He was like, give us like 10, 15 minutes. We changing the grease, whatever. They changed the grease. I came back down, ordered the joint. Yo, I swear to God, it was like the worst wings and fries I've ever had. I'm like, yo, you still got any of that old grease?
That shit again.
I need that dark grease.
Yeah, man. Like, that's some Philly shit, though.
No, for real. That's funny as shit.
And talk about some of the struggles and things you had to go through to get to where y'all at today. You know what I mean? That made y'all who you are.
Man, we had to go through a lot. Like, and kind of, when you breaking new ground or whatever, you not necessarily knowing what you're doing or the fact that you making history. So it's like, it was a ton of like, different missteps. And, early on we had situations where like, we literally paying to be at a studio. And this is when podcast recording was high as fuck. Like we paying like $120 an hour or something like that to record back in 2017 or whatever. And we had situations where like our engineer corrupted the audio, and then we attempted on a really good show, then we attempted to re-record it or whatever like that, and then that audio was corrupted, and he had like a batch issue. So it was like, from that I ended up learning about audio production and measuring twice and cutting once or whatever like that, because you can't repair audio on the back end and shit. The most skilled audio engineer cannot repair audio on the back end. You have to get your inputs and all that shit right the first time, or it's gonna be fucked up. So we had to learn that lesson. We learned the fucking sponsorship lesson, as far as on the terms where it's like we helped break a product on our show. Liquid Death, the water company that's in the cans and shit.
that, yeah.
We were the first and only people talking about Liquid Death for like 7 or 8 months, and it was supposed to be leading up to this big giant partnership and a payoff,
Like with y'all.
with us or whatever like that. And we get all the way to the end of this. The person that had owned the network that we was on gets all the way to the end of this deal. He had like 12 shows he was promoting, blah blah blah, and plus they had all the social impact from us and stuff like that. And these motherfuckers literally cut their deal down 90% at the 25th hour on the money that was supposed to come in, to where it ended up like totally not even being worth it. Then you fast forward now, Liquid Death is a $700 million valuation because they're exclusive water vendor for Live Nation.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Live Nation do all the tours and everything.
Everything. So they're in all of their venues, worldwide or whatever like that. And it's like, damn, like, we recognized that this was a cool, unique product, like in the beginning, and got behind it with the promise of a payoff that never came, but y'all got y'all's. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
So it's like different, like little stuff like that. That comes to mind. It's like, yo, just so much, just like, figuring stuff out. Like, you know what I mean? Thinking like, all right, is this a good idea? Whatever. Should we do this? You start venturing out and trying to go outside of your normal format and trying stuff, and it doesn't work. You gotta go back to the original format and stuff like that. Being too inclusive as far as like letting our homies come on the show and just talk nonsense and then ruining the user experience, and we getting cursed the hell out for it and stuff like that. Yeah, we've learned a lot of different lessons over the years, man.
Yeah. To be frank, one thing that I've kind of like realized, and I don't know why I'm doing it, but I went back and listened to all our shows. Like I started at the very beginning. I'm re-listening to every show we've ever done. And I hope this comes off the right way. But I look back and like he just said, the too inclusive thing. Yeah. I was really, really trying. Or I don't even know if I was trying. I think I was just doing it because this is just the type of person I am. I gave so many shout outs to so many of our peers in the podcasting thing. And I never really heard that from other podcasts.
Like we're doing the same thing.
I'm not Joe. I'm going back through the content, through the catalog, and it's just like every show it seemed like you hear me at one point, yo, shout out to these, shout out to them, shout out to these girls, shout out to these guys, shout out, yo, be on the lookout for these guys. I like these. I was listening to every show, and we for whatever reason it just never came back.
No love.
And this podcasting thing has become kind of just like treacherous a little bit.
Like
where to be honest, like some of you always hear like real like OG, anytime you talking about more than $20,000, it's just sharks in the water. That's just what it is. And podcasting is big business now. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of looks, it's a lot of things that go into it. And once people realize that and see it, they kind of jumped into it because it's like, oh, I'm popular, I got something going, let me talk and make some money. And
I be having 13 people on my live. Let me go ahead and put my thoughts.
That's the attitude to it. And you realize a lot of these people aren't really for the furtherment or the betterment of the podcasting landscape as a whole.
Right.
It's me, how much can I get, how many looks can I get, how many hoes can I fuck, how much money can I make, how much bottles can I buy a roller, can I get a G-Wack? It's all of that shit. And I look back on it where it's just like, I just was like, yo, I fuck with everybody. We're trying to to me, I think it's kind of crazy when you talk about Philadelphia being the 6th largest metro in the country, and Philadelphia has no media landscape.
Right, yeah.
It just for urban culture, it just doesn't exist. There is not a gauntlet of media you have to do when you go to Philadelphia, as opposed to going to Chicago or going to LA or going to Atlanta or going to New York. Philadelphia is just nothing, to the point where Lil Wayne has a famous tweet from years ago where he's like, "Get me the fuck out of Philly."
Damn.
Nothing to do here.
Not even just Lil Wayne. Like, you ever saw the episode of Family Guy when they were like, the Philadelphia flight was canceled and everybody was like, yeah.
Oh, no, I never seen it.
Like, damn.
Yeah, did you think about Beyonce was here recently, whatever.
Yeah, for the show.
In and out. Like,
I remember,
same night. Like, packed up a 16 truck tour, same night, and got the fucking
Y'all remember when LeBron was leaving Cleveland the second time? Remember it was the whole thing, like, where's he going to go?
Go to Philly?
Is he going to go to LA? Is he going to go to Philly? Yeah. I remember he signed with the Lakers or whatever, and everybody was pissing. I remember I had a joint that, like, when Viral was like, y'all really thought LeBron was going to pass up on LA to come here when you talking about good weather, the beaches, and you got all that money? And I'm like, what was he going to do? Come to Philly and get shot and eat Chinese food and ride a dirt bike? Like, you know, end of the day, it's like like I said, the podcast landscape has changed drastically. And I don't necessarily think we got into it with the intention. At least I could be wrong. I'm speaking for him. with
you're not
there's a
wrong.
huge payday because we're getting into this. It was more so, yo, our conversations are so good, they need to be recorded so that they're just part of our legacy. You know what I'm saying? And now you fast forward where I have people who come up to me and just like, yo, bro, you helped me change my life as far as health. You made me get on the ball as far as like working out. Y'all niggas made me want to worry about my credit. Like, I got a house. Me and my mom got out of debt. Me and my wife got out of debt. Like, hearing these people say these things where it's just like, if nothing else, I know I affected somebody talking about my weight loss situation. I affected somebody talking about me wanting to transition from a job that I hate into really falling into what I was built and designed to do. And that's talking on the microphone. I heard it my whole life. Yo, you need to be on the mic. You need to be on radio. And I kind of like shied away from it and just, old school mentality. Keep your head down. Don't get a man no trouble. You go get a pension. You might get a gold watch. It was like that shit. And I realized like, yo, I hate doing this shit. Like, I physically am ill going to work. Like, people don't understand. Like, you ever be at a job where you wake up and your alarm goes off at 5:05 and at 5:06 you're sitting on the edge of the bed like, how can I get out of work today?
Yeah, like, fuck.
That's a fucked up feeling to exist in. And I was there.
And even if you like your job, at some point it gets to that point.
No, I'm fuck liking it. I'm talking about like
pure hatred.
He know
Pure
like
hatred.
to the point where it changed my dealing with people. Like, I'm a people person by nature.
His job made him more callous and more cut off from like
it made me like a
antisocial?
to where I just my faith and like desire for like humanity,
You was done.
it was just it was non-existent.
Yeah, you had to get out of there.
And it's funny because yesterday me and my wife went downtown. We went to Harp and Crown yesterday. And we went, ate, was chilling, falling back, whatever. And we was leaving and like we saw a chick. She was like arguing with the people in the Five Below. They was throwing her out. Because, that little block, 15th and 16th.
Oh, it's real treacherous over there.
15th to 16th and Chestnut is you get your
you got
issue.
5%ers.
Yo, they was preaching, yes.
You can get some oils. You get some incense. You get a halal platter. You get Five Guys. You get a fight in front of H&M.
You get the nigga selling AirPods. It's just all that Chestnut Street between 15th and 16th, the craziest block in the city. Dog.
Y'all know what we talking about.
But the chick,
you can get jumped into a gang.
Dog, they was dragging the chick out of there. I don't know what happened, but she was arguing with them. They arguing with her, whatever. And she had a kid with her, and she like, fuck y'all, I don't give a fuck to that. And she walked off, and she went in her purse and pulled out. You know how people be having the IV pouches with liquor? Yeah. And I'm like, how are you sipping that? Just walking around with a kid. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Colostomy bag.
Yeah.
That's really what that shit look like.
The pouch joint.
And I looked at my wife and like, you see this irate ass chick that's got a kid and an IV pouch full of liquor?
A black Capri Sun.
I'm like, yeah.
Spike Capri Sun.
Yeah, you buy weed in Los Angeles, come in them black bags,
just out there.
Yeah. I'm like, you see this shit right here? This is the type of shit you deal with on the bus. And they'd be looking at you like, keep them in line. It's like, how the fuck I'm gonna be this?
You've seen it all.
Dog. And you just get to a point where it's just like, it burns you out and it frustrates you so much. And, I talked about it and just kept toying with it. And then eventually I walked away. And, it's been rough and, it's definitely a lifestyle change because you have to like really like when something's your life. I worked there for 14 years. When something goes on for that long, it becomes routine to you almost.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Up,
like I went up there recently because one of the old heads retired and I couldn't get in. I was like, I ain't got keys no more. I
have to call somebody.
I'm at the door. Like, come let the nigga. Yeah. So, it just people, like he said, we went through the progression of life. Like, I got married. I've been through a bunch of different shit on the show. So people kind of like took the ride with us in our maturation.
And I look at our show in like phases. In like phase one, it was just like, yo, we want to record this, have a time capsule of what we was doing at a certain time, documenting culture, certain conversations that we're having, blah, blah, blah. And we'll pay for the right to do that. Then the next phase was like, all right, we've been doing this for a while. We're veterans. We're like a prominent show on this big regional network, whatever, at Wildfire. We're consistently number 1, number 2, number 3 in viewership week to week, blah, 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 blah. but this needs to start producing some money where we still want to document this and get information out, but we will do so if we ain't got to pay for the right to do it. Like if we have enough ad support to be able to not have to pay out of our pockets, that's a good month for us. That's good for us, or whatever like that. And then it transitioned into just based off of some different trends and stuff that I was seeing. I was like, yo, I think that we can monetize this show in an alternative manner. And the way that we do that is produce more content, give people more access, and I think they'll pay for this. So I had the idea to do Patreon in 2019. Just because I kind of saw where the content landscape was going, and certain shows were like Patreon only exclusives then. Right. So basically, they was just basically saying like, yo, we're going to cater to a niche audience or whatever, charge $5 to $11 a month, blah, 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 blah. And people get their content direct to consumer. They can interact with the creator, blah, blah. But at that point, I'm like, all right, I still think it's like a little bit like too early for us. Like we got some equity in here, but we're also kind of at the same token rebuilding. So let's fully rebuild this and then we can monetize it. So then March of 2021, we dropped our Patreon. We had like 200 people on Patreon in the first week.
Wow, that's really good.
And then I think at our peak, we was at like maybe like 550 people or something like that, where it's like overall we got 700 people on our platform or whatever like that. Yeah. You know, not all are active. Some accounts are dormant, decline, whatever, come back around, woo, woo, woo. Yeah. But you know, we have a rotational pocket of our audience of roughly, 400 on a great month, 500 on a excellent month, whatever the case may be. People that are directly interacting with us, giving us feedback. We have the ability to, directly message these people and reach out to them and give them information, whether it be about events or merch drop or whatever like that. And because we went to the audience route as far as like funding this podcast, now the audience is in tune with everything that we're doing and vice versa, to where we can start to, predict certain things, just based on the activity level of that audience and stuff like that, being like our top 2-3% of the audience or whatever now. So it's like now for the last, going on 3 years, our show's been fully monetized.
This Josh.
This Keys.
This episode of Boss Talk is sponsored by Videocraft Studios. Videocraft Studios creates compelling productions such as music videos, promotional videos, and corporate videos for Fortune 500 companies and emerging businesses and artists.
Videocraft Studios has a brand new production space with special attention and passion for music videos and content creation for creators and artists.
If you're looking for a video production space for your latest music video promo vid, well, Videocraft Studios is the place for you. They always treat me very well, and Keith, anytime we want any type of things, any type of production, or we just want to stop by and say hello. They're always there for us. So make sure you contact them at the information below at the lower thirds. We love lower thirds, we love them. At the number below and the email below as well. And get with them and tell them that a couple bosses sent you too. Videocraft Studios and Boss Talk.
Congrats.
Yeah, man. To where we can now, begin to, spend extra money for marketing. Go out here, if we got to pay for a guest here and there, that makes sense. We have a budget to do that. If we need to travel to go capture some content, we've gone to, LA, New York, DC, stuff like that. Damn. Done content all over the place. You know what I'm saying? To the point where now people are requesting to fly us places to do content centered around them because they like, yo, we ain't did an interview with y'all in a while. Our company's grown since then, blah, blah, blah. We want to reciprocate the love that y'all gave us early and platforming us and getting our word out there and bring y'all out here on us to do content around, around us and shit. And it's like, damn, like, we've gotten to the point where it's like we've really scaled a real media outlet. We are a real independent media outlet. I was in North Jersey the other day doing a podcast with my homies, Beards and Bottles. They came and did a joint show with us in January that ended up doing really strong numbers for, where our collective fan bases was. And they was interviewing somebody else after me, this battle rap guy from North Jersey, Speed Dollar, that was from the original era before Sue Surf and, all in like, he predated all of that. He was like the main person on Block City DVD that ended up going to Smack and stuff. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm familiar with your shit. I be watching your show. But it's just like, you literally get to a point where you having all of these different moments in life where you're like, damn, you never know who's watching or who's familiar with you. He had a situation in Miami. he coming out of a restaurant and the dude like, yo, ain't you Matt? And he like looking around like he like a dreadhead, gold tooth nigga.
It was like
whatever.
all of the what they call them, the Zopound.
Yeah, like a
niggas.
Zopound nigga got
It was
the
just
wicks in his
mad
hair.
niggas with
Oh,
wicks.
you been a Mad Z.
Yeah, that shit was, I was coming out of, me and my wife was coming out of Komodo, and I seen like just a bunch of just commotion, Lambo trucks and Wraiths or whatever. And I'm just like, the fuck is going on out here? And the bull turned around, was like, I know you. And I'm like, nah, you don't. And
you got me mistaken.
And he was like, no, we be watching your shit on YouTube. Then y'all just have Dr. Umar on there. And I'm just like, oh yeah. He was like, nah, y'all shit dope. I fucks with y'all shit, bro. I'm like, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I need a hitman, I know where to go. Come talk to you. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, it is a thing where, you know, you out in the world, and, you know, I remember sitting on a plane and somebody got on a plane, was just like, yo, man, I fuck with your show. That's y'all shit, all that. And people, I'm sitting in the first class there, but white people, what do you do? What do What you got going on? Like, so, you know, it is cool, you know what I mean, to see that the way people gravitate towards something when you do something.
Yeah,
responding.
We just initially made shows in order to, like we said, get our thoughts out, but also to create like time capsules and stuff, like to bid with our friends, social media friends and stuff like that. And our first show, we had like 14,000 downloads. I'm like, how did y'all even find this shit? But it was like in an era where the podcast shit was so organic that if you had any sort of traction or whatever, the outlets would just push your shit out to more people. Like, it was like once it broke certain barriers, it was almost like an algorithm of virality that would push your shit out. We got a show in our catalog that had like 800,000 downloads on audio before when we last heard about it or whatever. Reported was like 3 years ago. It was like, yo, this show was like totally viral. It was like it got big in the Netherlands or whatever, and then the shit spread through Europe or whatever like that over there. And I'm just like, yo, that shit just doesn't happen anymore when it comes to like audio podcasts. Like, your reach is your reach. It depends on how many people are subscribed to your RSS or whatever. You might be able to incrementally increase it, but there is no audio podcast that like has 30 listeners show 1 and then 30,000 on show 4. Like, that shit doesn't happen no more. And it used to happen all the time.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, and this is just me, the way I view it all. Like I told you, it's become very weird and very treacherous at times. Everybody's basically competing for real estate that really doesn't exist, if that makes any sense. So y'all have your fan base. Your fan base is your fan base. Like what he was just saying. Your fan base is not going to just compound out of nowhere. The only way that it 2X's or 4X's or 5X's itself is doing a show with us, because now our fan base gets introduced to you, and vice versa.
It's the same theory as like in rap music, where you a new artist and you collab with somebody, and then now their fans get to see your talent, and you're going to onboard 25 to 75% of their fans.
It's gotten so ridiculous. Like in rap now, they have 110% deal, where it's like a mega artist will come and do a remix with like a up and coming artist,
and it booms them.
But they get 10% of your next song,
your subsequent song, because the only reason why people are listening to your subsequent song is because you did the song with me before. So now they're curious about you, and you onboarded a certain percentage of my audience.
That's smart as
shit.
So you know,
shit, if you got Future on that track, then
Future need that.
So now, you know, you look at podcasting where it's like you got this podcast, you got 15 podcasts that all are like making up reasons as to why they don't want to intermingle with
the
each
other podcasts, when they all could steal 25 to 75% of each other's audience if they just all in a row collaborated with the other.
Come together.
Like, you know, so you see a lot of that, and then you just see, you know, I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, people don't like to be outshined or outclassed, or you know, like in boxing, you see somebody running from a fight. You know, that shit isn't true. And I see it now in the podcasting thing, where it's like you can feel the energy at times where it's just like, I don't want to be around that. I don't, you know, because we some talkers. You know, we have an opinion. I can formulate an opinion on just about anything. And if I don't formulate an opinion on it in real time, give me 3 or 4 days, let me do some digging, some research, I'll be back to it. And not everybody's like that. Not everybody's informed. Not everybody can really process information. Not everybody can reissue information that they take in. Not everybody can do it. And you see it where it's like, how many layers do you have to yourself? Fuck your podcast. How many layers do you have to yourself? Like, how many layers is it before it's like, all right, I'm just, you know, what you want? I'm just human. What you got for me?
And to his point, there's a lot of people that aren't coming to their media, whatever it is, whether it's a podcast or a stream or whatever, being their authentic self. They're playing a fucking character. And it's only been so long before they either have a character break and people see who the real them is, and then they got to make a decision on if they fuck with that or not, or there's going to be a time where eventually they're going to get exposed for the fact that they're not how they're presenting themselves to be, and then they're going to fracture the audience because most people appreciate authenticity, and when you prove yourself to be less than authentic, then people are going to tune out from that shit. You're a phony, you're a fake. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to deal with that. And then you're going to have to try to play damage control and fixing all of the bad equity that you created because you was faking the whole fucking time.
I say it all the time. I just think the biggest thing when it comes to this is like, give something to the people that are giving their time to you. Like, let them leave with something.
Has to be a takeaway.
You know what I mean? Like, what is your, what's the term I'm looking for? Your, not viability, but your, it's like right there in the tip of my mission. Along the lines of a mission, but basically your, it's a value term. I can't think of it right now, but it'll come to me. But basically make it to where people get something out of listening to you. Like,
value exchange.
Value exchange. There you go. Like, make sure there's a value exchange to where it's like, yo, you know, it's only 24 hours in a day. You know what I mean? You're supposed to sleep for 8 or 9 of them if you don't listen to Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to sleep for 8 or 9 of them. The way the American workday is, you typically work for 8 to 9 hours. Right? You only really got, like, in most jobs, let's keep it a buck, like, there ain't many jobs where people can just like have a AirPod in all day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people realistically might have 40 minutes at the gym, 28 minutes in the car ride. Like, they don't have to listen to you.
So what are you going to leave?
So it's like, you know,
and there's a lot of different people competing for that audio or video real estate.
Like, they
for that hour somebody's time.
Like, they don't have to listen to you. So it's like, you just try to give something that's a little bit better than, man. So let me ask you this: can you nut from head? Like, it's just it's better.
It's like,
shit.
Come on,
it's
we
better
got more
shit
than that.
to talk about. Like, and I see it all the time where it's like, yo, at a certain point, we as a people just got to be a little bit better. Like, when I see the shit that go viral from a lot of these, it's just junk. It's just shit. Dumbass sex questions, relationships. It's just like,
calories.
We not over it. Like, there's, I saw the joint the other day that came up on my feed. They're still discussing who should pay what in a house, and I'm just like, how does this conversation?
How much should a first date cost? It's like,
it's just like, at what
these
point?
are all Black Twitter topics from 2011.
Dog,
we're all adults now. Like, we're so far. I remember them tweets when I was 14.
Exactly.
Dog. I had hair when that shit started.
Like, still having the same conversation. And the thing is,
and the craziest part about these dumbass conversations is a nigga will pay a bitch whole motherfucking rent, car note, everything, then come right online. Yeah, I get these bitches nothing, and it just
I feed the bitch dog food.
I feed the bitch out.
I told her call her
like, what? And on the flip side,
I told the bitch pay my rent.
Yeah. You got women,
got it like
you got
that,
women online. You nigga better have a check for me. You want a check for me? All this crazy
all
shit.
cap.
Hang that shit up. She bring
Super
food
cat.
down to the station.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, bitch, my train come in at 10:12. You better bring that motherfucking food. Like, so it's all nonsense. And it's just like, at what point do we more so make satire out of the shit? Like how we do. If it ever comes up, it's us doing that shit where we're making fun of the people who actually are taking these dumbass conversations serious. It's just a better playing field you can be on. I hate using the term, but there's a higher vibration you can reach when it comes to having conversations as Black people who are at a certain age. We're about to be 40 years old. At a certain point, we got to start talking about health. We have to start talking about getting prostate exams. We have to start talking about making sure your blood pressure is like, we have to start talking about shit that's better than how much should a first date cost.
It don't mean shit.
A lot of people, though, and a lot of times, because the internet is also oversaturated with bad content.
Dumb shit.
Like the internet is oversaturated.
The good
with bad
content is in the 3%. I'm a data miner. I'm a content officer. I fucking watch more content on a week-to-week basis than probably anybody on earth. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think Jules might have.
So it's like, but I'm in the 1% of data miners and stuff like that. And the actual content that I stay subscribed to, stay engaged with, watch with regularity is very not. Even if I found this clip or this interview to be entertaining, the whole of your content is usually very bad, and it doesn't bring me back to people's audiences like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they'll catch me out there 1 or 2 times, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna watch the 9-hour podcast, and then I cut the 9-hour podcast on because I'm a dickhead, and I'm going through this shit in 4 minutes, and I'm like, this is awful. Like, how did they trick me with this fucking clip? You know what I'm saying? With the clickbait, it's a lot of clip culture that's going on, especially like on Instagram right now. There's a lot of clip culture where it's like, yo, you see people with small pages with 1.8 million, 1 million views on a clip, stuff like that, and then you click the link in their bio, and then they got 32 subscribers on YouTube, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, wait a minute, why isn't it transferring over? Right. You should at least, on a bare minimum, be transferring over 10% of that viewership into on here to over here to this platform. And like, that's the whole point. When I run my fucking social media advertisement and all of that shit with Instagram, and my clip does 80,000 views or whatever, I'm banking on getting 8,000 to 10,000 views on the longer form content because my clip is about something as opposed to the clips that are traveling that ain't about shit. And once people finish watching it, they just roll up and scroll up to the next thing and keep fucking going because that was just some entertainment shit that I chuckled at, but you didn't give me nothing to where I wanted more or I needed to flesh out the full context of this conversation.
Podcasting is also like that Instagram thing. It's kind of supposed to be like the last 3 minutes of a Power episode.
Right.
Like, I'm supposed to watch that and be like, shit, I gotta tap in.
Yeah.
Like, you dig what I'm saying? And
you gotta, it's a skill test. You gotta condense it down to 30 seconds.
I used to watch the last 3 minutes of Power and be like, I'm about to throw up. You know
what I'm saying? So, but you gotta condense that last 3 minutes of Power where they have a runway of 3 minutes into 30 to 45 seconds, or you lose the audience because the fucking attention span is cooked. Where we went from being able to sit in the movie theater for 2 hours to we not even going to the movie theater, we watching the movie at home, to, all right, I'm gonna listen to this 45-minute podcast or watch Carisha Please for 45 minutes, to, all right, well, now they got the 3-minute clip of Carisha, whatever, on IGTV, down to 59 seconds, down to now we are 29 to 44 seconds, or you lose the average viewer.
And you better have the words on there, because I don't
and if the words ain't on the screen, we knock your virality score down because these motherfuckers are retarded and they need to sound out the words even if they can't read
think about how crazy that is. Like, we've gotten to the point where it's like clips dead ass, like you can hear what they saying. They speak your first language. You think about, you ain't never seen a clip from Drink Champs where they talking Swahili and Noah. It's English, and it's still gotta like have the words popping up on the screen.
Ball on top of the word.
That shit is crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like a junction.
Because motherfuckers have really been.
We burnt it. Like when I was
Feliz
a child.
Navidad, motherfucking ball bounce.
When I was a child, we used to. When I was a kid, I used to go to Catholic church. We used to sit in church for 4 hours.
Oh, I went to a Presbyterian church.
4 hours, man. Church first service was 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. We used to sit
first service, that already gets scary.
And be entertained by, and Catholic church is boring. So it ain't even no action or nothing. Like I'm at a Baptist church or a Pentecostal church and no shit like that.
Like Presbyterian, they had an organ.
Right.
Lying down.
So we just sit there, sitting there in silence for 4 hours. And we did that, and we're now down to 29 to 44 seconds of attention span, or it's over.
No, for real.
And I'm a victim of it too. I go on World Star, I click a clip. They had the best headline ever. I get on that motherfucker, that shit 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Oh, fuck this. I don't even care. Because you need to hit me. I need to get to the plot point. Where's the fast forward? What's the timestamp for the plot point that I came to this video for? I'm not going to fish through your shit. I've been watching a lot of I don't know if y'all familiar with Dan Lebatard. He used to be on ESPN. He had the show Highly Questionable with his dad. And they got exposed to be fake Cuban or whatever like that. It was like a whole controversy. But he's got a network now that's backed by FanDuel. And I I watched their show because it's like journalists. It's like sports media from a journalistic standpoint, which is like some old shit that doesn't even exist no more. Everything is hot takes and clickbait. But they do real journalistic journals. But how they cut their clips, they piss me off because they'll label something as Aaron Rodgers says your mom's a hoe and the vaccine ain't no good. And I click on this clip and that part is not until the last 4 seconds and then it cuts off. And I'm just like, did they do this to me again?
Wow.
But their clips are 24, 25 minutes. So what they're doing is they're stoking their fucking watch time to push up the average watcher from 29 to 44 seconds up to 13, 18, 24 minutes because you're going to try to figure out where the fuck is this moment
like,
that I
need
came
to see
here
this.
for. Where is it?
Like
where's the fuck your mom at?
Where's the fuck your mom at?
As unorganic as people have become in and around being on the mic, it's become even more unorganic when you talk about numbers, when you talk about like reach, when you talk about sponsorship dollars and ad rev, and it gets very tricky. And we kind of learned it going through our situation with a network we were with before, where something might seem like a good situation, but it's not. We had Chris Gotti, who's Irv's brother, on the show a couple of times. And Chris was like, something I learned very young in this music business is like, yo, when you hear somebody say, I got a good deal, somebody got a bad deal.
Yep.
Because it can't be two good deals on the same thing.
No such thing.
You know what I mean? And we basically got to our situation where, like he said, we had a studio, we had the network, and we were paying for our time. And they basically were like, yo, y'all like record more than anybody, because that's another thing. We'll get into that later. Like the consistency aspect of this. Like you have to be consistent. Like once somebody expects something out of you, you have to deliver the shit. Right. If your show is supposed to come on at 5 o'clock, it has to. You have to think about it. You like Law and Order on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Right. You ever go sit down, cut on the shit at 10 p.m. and it's like the president address? You're like, God damn, they doing that tonight. Yeah. Shit.
Because the point that he's making is all disappointment is tied to expectation. Right. So if you don't expect it to be there, then you can't be disappointed when it's not.
Right. And you look around, you like, God damn, so is they doing a new episode this week? Like, that's how you are. So you have to be consistent. So they came and was like, yo, y'all record pretty consistently, y'all are on the ball, y'all numbers is real. So they're like, yo, listen, let's do a situation where we could just like group this whole thing together, because this is when we were starting the Patreon aspect. So it's now we're recording a lot. And it's like, yo, y'all are recording more and more. How about we just set a flat fee and y'all pay that, and then basically you can record whenever you want. We'll just open the studio
for the studio.
So we was like, okay, yeah, that's
and give us the right to sell advertising for you. That was the other part.
So they was like, you know, like, let's do that. And we was like, all right, yeah, like that's a good deal. Cool, we'll rock with that. And it made sense, but then we really started thinking about it like, yo, for what we're paying, like, and it wasn't buku amounts of money, but it's like,
yeah, for what we were getting, there was a definite value exchange. Like I think we might have won out, honestly, if I had to crunch the numbers.
And it all kind of flipped when they, again, like I say, sharks in the water, they basically got wind of our income that was coming in through ad rev, through sponsorships, through little partnerships we created, through our Patreon, through our merch. They saw what we were making, and then basically came and was like, all right, well, check this out. Because y'all at this point, y'all need your own shit. So they wanted to build us a studio in their studio. So they were basically going to take the whole like space that they
lobby,
had,
the common area,
and they were going to cut it in half and basically make, mind you, it's 20 shows on the network. So they were going to make a studio for us, and then the other 19 over here doing their thing. And you hear that, and you just like, yeah, that okay, I like the idea. What we talking? But then the number that they threw at us was like, how do you justify? Like, we're talking about increasing what we already paid that we increased on what we paid. They were talking about like 6 or 7 Xing what we were paying. Oh my God. And we just kind of sat and looked at each other, was like, yo, for the money that we would pay for our own studio in the studio, we could just get our own studio.
A fucking house I mean, I don't know the numbers, but
no, we could have got a house in Southampton or Ben Salem.
You might pay rent.
Wow.
So we kind of just like look, and this is that thing where you realize like people are always lurking.
Yeah, they're trying to get
and their whole thing was, I don't think they know what they're sitting on. I don't think they really understand. Let's try them. And you know, a lesser minded person would have just been like, all right, bet. But we just was like, yo, we can buy cameras, we can buy equipment, we can buy mics. Like he said, he wanted to really focus on the audio editing side. We got Big Dan, shout out Big Dan, who came on, who was instrumental in us editing videos and doing clips and all of that. And we just was like, yo, fuck it, we'll just take the money that we make this month and just buy all the shit. So we bought the soundboard, we bought all of this shit, bought the lights, bought everything. And it's just like, let's just do it ourselves. And when we left from that network, because the network had merged with another network, when we left from there, like he said, we had shows on the feed that were 67,000 downloads. We had one that was damn near at 1 million downloads. Like we did, we did over 5 million downloads at that network. When we left and started our own RSS feed, we were literally in the hundreds, because now at this point, everybody, you know, unless you had our thing, you had to basically resubscribe to the show. Because it's on a
same show, new feed. But if you don't know that, then you're still subscribed to the old feed. You just think our feed went dormant and we disappeared.
So we don't do the show no more.
Right. So we had to basically create our own RSS feed, and you know, at first it was kind of slow, and then we had to figure out our audio. Our audio sounded kind of crazy, and you know, I'm talking about our first episode when we changed over might have did like 400 downloads because it's a brand new RSS feed. And you know, we got the banner a couple months ago where we hit 2 million on our own feed. So it's like, oh shit, okay. And now, you know, we fully independent. And granted, we got a deal that we about to go into, but that's a whole nother story. But it's like now the deal that we're going into where we're redirecting our RSS feed to them. Now it's value attached to it because it's ours. We own it. And we're not even giving up full control of it. We're leasing it through them. So it's like, you know, you really understand the behind the scenes. Like, again, once the money comes in, it's not just turn the mic on, let's smoke some hookah. We had to stop smoking hookah on air because
it kept dinging the platform.
It kept dinging the platform on YouTube. So it's a lot of little things you just learn and understand. Huh?
Like if you feature like tobacco product or whatever on screen, they'll demonetize your video. They'll knock it that's enough to get you knocked down from green to yellow or from yellow to red. So whereas like it'll be no monetization.
So with Drink Champs, their shit's probably getting bumped, but this probably
they also they're in a position where they have a YouTube rep, an agent that's dedicated to their specific show. So they're going through a direct to a peer-to-peer submission process as opposed to like just the AI is approving their video. So just based on the size of their show and how much traffic they drive through YouTube, they're not going to demonetize their shit. But a micro creator or a medium-sized creator, they're going to demonetize your shit every time.
At the end of the day, you know, you really got to take in you know, when you're talking about millions of downloads or millions of viewers or millions of listeners, you have a certain leeway. You have, you know, you can operate with a certain level of autonomy.
The Jordan rules.
Yeah, Jordan rules. So it's like, you know, end of the day, you or me can't pull out weed and start smoking on air. Nori could do that because like I have a big deal with interval.
And like, I'm in a state where marijuana is legal, so I'm operating like it's going to get real political with a show like Drink Champs. I'm in a state where marijuana is legal. I have a marijuana partnership with Gumbo, so it's my product, so I'm endorsing it. Okay, cool, fully monetized. Like it's a simple argument because they're driving 2 million to 11 million views every time they drop an episode.
It's that dollar amount. Yeah, man. So we just want to continue to give you guys your flowers. You guys have had a long run of just like, you know, doing y'all thing, running it up, nice content, great interviews. I kind of want to get into some of the interviews that like were some of the big ones. I'm gonna start here. I'm from West Philly. We're gonna go tour.
All right.
West Philly tour. So how did that come about? And like, you know, what was your thoughts on that?
Tor is like my little brother. Like Tor is like a close friend of mine. Back when me and DJ Boo had After Midnight on 53rd and Market, one of my promotional partners was West Philly Reese. You know what I'm saying? My man that got the West Side of Philly clothing line. So from that, Tor is his little cousin. So he used to bring Tor around, and Tor would hang out with us, but Tor's like 15. So we would have him in the club and shit till 5 in the morning and shit when he was 15, not drinking or nothing, but he would just, you know, want to be around, whatever. And I remember he rapped, and he was just like always the most talented rapper in the room. But he was so young, he didn't know how to make songs, understand song structure and all of that, and didn't necessarily know that yet. But progressively over time, he just got better. Like he just took that shit and just went to the moon with it. And we used to have a Thursday showcase night that me and my man Big Dan, who's the producer and a videographer on our show now, we used to have a showcase night on Thursdays where the showcase got so big that like PD Crack came and Miss Jade came and shit like that, because motherfuckers was literally coming there like looking for talent. And Tor was always like if it was 10 competitors on a night, he was always in the top 3, like every single time. But he never really won because it was other crews that would come in there and they had like groups and a whole production. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they got 30 motherfuckers in the crowd that know they song and whatever, and they selling it. So it was like, damn, if we going off crowd reaction, they won, but none of them can rap better than this 15-year-old kid over here. You know what I'm saying? And then you just looked up one day, and then Tor was on the fucking sprinter with Meek, and I'm like,
He was like, what the heck?
what
is
the
going
fuck?
on?
I'm like, damn, my young boy made it. Like he went up. You know what I'm saying? And me and Tor still talk to this day. That's like a real good close friend of mine. Like I said, it's like my little brother. He, you know, we just always show each other love in general, and all the success that he having now, I knew he was going to have it once he focused in and got with like a solid team, because he was jumping around for a minute, but the music always was great. So it's like he was with Meek, but he wasn't with Meek. Then he was just with Tok, and then that didn't really materialize. And then he was with Leonard Fournette, and then that kind of went dormant. But now he's in a situation where his business partners that run his label, one of them is my childhood friend that I knew since he was like 7 years old. My man Jameer Shaw from Dope Shows. So that him and Steph got dope records now. So he's signed to them. He's their marquee flagship artist or whatever. They got an indie situation for him now, but they basically said they got deals on the table. They could walk in any label right now and get a 50-50 joint venture just based on Tor and some of the other producers and stuff that they working with and blah, blah, blah. Like, but they was like, we want to increase the value and build it up independently to heighten our negotiation leverage or whatever that. You know what I'm saying? But they got, you know, Tor got $1 million, you know, offers on the table right now.
I was at that show, the Dope Shows show, where he got, you know, introduced
you
know what I'm saying, the new artist. That was really dope. You know what I'm saying?
We've been banging Tor since the first tape.
Like
the
World Tour.
You know, before that, the purple joint, with the Spanish joint on the intro, like way back there, I knew that shit word for word. So like, yeah, that was a great episode. I got to tap into.
What about Core, man? That's the next one.
Listen, the Core joint was like no bullshit 2 years in the making.
Oh, y'all was already working on that.
We was working on that for like 2 years.
Yeah, we like 6 months in.
We got a little bit more.
It's gonna take some time. You know what I'm saying?
We know like
anytime people hit me, I've become the go-to, and I'm sure he get it too, person for like, yo, you think you can get a Core on our podcast? I'm like, yo, it's gonna take a while. You know what I'm saying?
Funny.
I'm like, cause that's, you know, one of my close friends or whatever, somebody I knew for like the last like 5-6 years or whatever like that, is in business with Tor, my man Melv or whatever. So they are together all the time. Same neighborhood, grew up on the same block, whatever. They all got 7947 in their name. Like, this is like his mud brother, whatever like that. And me and Melv over the last like 6 years formed like a real brotherhood, like a real strong friendship or whatever. And I used to always ask him like, yo, what's up with Core? What he doing? What's up with this? When's some music coming out? Woo, 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 woo. And he was like, yo, we working on something, blah, blah, blah. So I knew about his deal with Meek before it even happened.
Wow.
And then it got announced to the world, whatever. And I was trying to like do it around that, but he had did like an interview with my man Tom Flies from Tapped In. He did an interview with Tom or whatever, and then it was like, you know, just let's give it like, you know, some time to space it out, whatever. We won't do too much media around the city, woo woo woo. And then it still took another year or whatever and a half from then, and then we got it done January of this year, and it was like super good for us. Like, we got memed off of that fucking interview. Don't move, sit down, stay right there. Like, we got memed. The fucking Core fan page picked up a bunch of different clips of ours that they cut. Hip hop since 1987, reposted, cover everything, whatever for that joint. So that was like a real good interview for us and for the city. And some one of the social media kids had made a TikTok about the shit that went viral. It was like Tour interviews be like that shit or whatever that. So that was like a real major cultural moment for us. And it was like, yo, all of the time that we waited made it like the perfect time, just because of the space that he was in. He was already, you know, in the Universal Republic system as far as like having his deal over there and all of that shit. And he could speak like specifically about all this different stuff. And then, you know, Rock had just passed, so whatever. So that was a talking point because they had a friendship, not a friendship. Fixed it at the end, friendship again. So the time period just gave it so much more meaning when it ended up happening.
And he was so like comfortable, and it was like an organic.
Listen, he'll tell you how was the night when he pulled up.
Oh, I mean, you know, Core. The reality is this. I'll be honest with you. I don't like talking to rappers, but Core was hit because a lot of rappers have this thing like how we just talked about the unauthentic thing.
Oh, okay.
For the most part, a lot of them are very, very facade-ish. You know what I mean? It's a real WrestleMania, Starrcade aspect to them just appearing and coming outside. So it's not too many rappers that you see where they're just like their authentic self 24/7. And you kind of pick up on that just being around them or seeing them in different rooms or when certain people, like one thing that's real big on me is how do you act when like your old heads are around? Like how do you act when the bitches are around? You know, there was a, like he just said, there was a funny TikTok years ago was like, Philly niggas when the hoes come around and the bull, he was chilling. Like he was just standing, they was like on the block chilling and the two bitches turned the block and he just like hit the weed and looked at this man like, you a bitch. And he just started saying crazy shit. He hit the weed again and was like, yo, you think I got too much bread? like the nigga, it was hilarious. I don't know. I can't think of his name, but shout out to him because he had one of the funniest videos ever. And he kept hitting the weed, just saying little dumb shit. Like, yo, you got change for $6 million? Like,
you know what? I think that was D.
The nigga was about the bitch came up and he just like, you a bitch, nigga.
I did see that.
Fuck you up, right? But it's funny because it's like you get that and you get around these rappers and it's just everything is too cool for school and you know I've been from
you can read through the
everything is I'm from the mud and from the trenches but I've been getting money since I was none of it makes sense.
Since I was 4 and
I was
like,
in Pampers.
None of it makes real sense.
I had the blicky at 8. You know what I'm saying? I had to clap my uncle for getting loud with my mom about the casserole.
Everybody in my house was a crackhead, but
everybody was a crackhead, but I sold a bunch of crack to
them. So that's how I paid the bills.
I told Auntie come through in the first.
I just used to sit in the dining room and just make endless money, and then I paid all the bills. It just be nonsense.
It do be nonsense.
And
they was good customers, so I let them stay at the crib for free. Even though they ain't had no bread.
And Core literally was just like
different energy.
He jumped out the car like, yo, I'm finally about to do this shit. I've been waiting to do this joint. Like, God damn,
it threw us off.
He bought all this Chinese food. I know I had to bring all that good shit from that way. And it's just like
heavy eats ball. I fuck with that. I watched a lot of shit. He heavy eats ball.
He was just like a high energy. Another one, shout out Bang Bang. Like just super high energy. Glad to be there. Bringing up our old content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, no, because I watch y'all every week. So I know because when you said such and such and then Matt said,
you know, and you get to the point where you have these interviews where it's like you can feel when somebody don't want to do it or don't, and that shit to me is just like, yo,
why are you here?
Fuck, if you feel in any way lethargic, if you feel in any way uninterested,
let's reschedule this.
We could just do it another time, or we could just not do it at all. Yeah. But give people the respect for their time, for their energy. It don't matter what the fuck place you at in life. Because you could be in this place right now and then you could not be in that shit tomorrow. And on the flip side, I can be here, but I could be the fuck up here in 6 months. Yep. So it's like just... Again, one of the biggest myths you hear in black culture is when you hear people say, I treat the janitor with the same respect I treat the CEO. No, the fuck you don't. That's a lie. But a lot of these people, you really see it and feel it. And Core is one of them guys where it's like,
it don't change.
I didn't know him, didn't really know much about him, but we got done and it was just like, damn, Core, all right. Like he all right. Like good. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like Mel made me come, and you didn't feel none of that shit.
From the viewers, me watching it, it felt like that too.
It felt real genuine.
Like he just he
was cool.
Yeah, we hung out afterwards.
I told you,
we stuck around.
We kicked it afterwards for like a good hour and a half. Like when the shit was off, we just sitting in there talking, just throwing each other little situations and talking games.
We had a little studio audience for that. Like mad people in the spot when we did that.
That was dope.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to, as you go further in this, you do interviews and you get more and more people, you understand how to read people. And you understand, like I tell him all the time, I know what type of interview we're getting 5 seconds into them walking in the room or being
feel
there.
It, yeah.
Literally, when we interviewed Crip Mac, who would be all over like No Jumper and shit, we interviewed him in LA. Crip Mac got out the car and was like, God damn you big, let's squabble right now. That's him.
You want to go in the alley,
He's like, you want to go in the alley, cuz?
Energy though.
Yeah, but that's him. We went down into the studio and he was like, let me do a drop, because he picked up he had his own Old English. Like bags of that.
Yeah, he
shit.
had people deliver Old English to the
Oh,
studio.
you knew that was going to be the
Yeah.
He had like 4 40s and 2 gallons of water.
Yeah. He's like, all I drink is water and Old English. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was high energy like a motherfucker, and you could just tell he was like, nah, I fuck with y'all. Y'all came here to talk to me. Let's get it done.
In L.A.
And then you have these other situations where we've had people just walk in the studio and just sit there on their phone.
What?
And you just like, yeah, we going to go in 5 minutes. All right. And then you like, are you ready, cuz? Yeah, I'm ready. Put their phone down. And then you
you looking at it like,
you just like, yeah, so where you from, man? Like, it just it fucks it all
It's like
up.
flat.
Right.
Yeah.
It's super flat. And, you know, Core, Bang Bang, you know, it's just been a lot of them.
Sean Cotton.
Yeah, Sean
Oh yeah,
Cotton,
once
that
you
was
go,
the John, yeah.
honestly, once you get away from rappers, that's where you get more and
You
more
get that pop.
of just like you know, because we talkers.
Yeah.
Like think about it, if you talking to someone like this, you're not going to interview us, and we just kind of this is what we do.
Right, we're going to really,
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all gonna run out of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being serious. I heard him like, we only got 30 minutes. Like that shit real.
I mean, yeah, but that's what we're here for.
Because we can do this shit for hours.
how you know
Our
Yeah.
interview with Louis V. Gutter was real good.
Louis
too.
V. was real good.
We don't talk about that. That's an interview that kind of got lost in the shuffle because we was going through a transitional point at that time.
That was the very end.
Yeah, that was the very end. We was going through a transitional point. And
I low-key
it just
think he
kinda
might
like,
have been the last interview. There.
Yeah, I think so. It was like him
RSC.
and Young Bob was the last
Yeah.
2 interviews or whatever that was over there, and then we shut that shit down and was just like doing just shows with us or whatever, kind of like planning our escape because we was just like we ain't bringing no more guests through this motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
we're not going
yeah,
let
like
y'all profit
these
off shit.
crackers tripping. They trying to get the 3,500.
It was crackers too.
They trying to get the 35 out of us. The 35 ain't gonna work. So we got to start, planning our exit or whatever like that. And then the final straw was they was trying to overly sell us on doing this live show in Atlantic City, and they was gonna get like a huge kickback. Was trying to act like I didn't know that was the case and why he was selling us so hard. And I'm explaining this motherfucker like, bro, I've been in the live event industry, booking artists, talent, doing concerts, all that shit for like 11 years at this point, bro. Like this shit don't make no sense. Like just because I'm brokering a deal around my podcast doesn't mean that the parameters of the business just dramatically change or whatever. And I get to abandon all of my sense to like help y'all out. So once I broke it down, so it's like, oh, because we had like a full screaming match, like me and the guy, whatever. And he was just, and I had to really explain it to him. He was like, oh, I get what you're saying now. It's like he had this big ass epiphany, and I'm like, no, motherfucker, you been new. But I was talking about, it took me to break this shit down to a molecule for you to understand that I know you're full of shit, and this doesn't make any sense.
One of those, you know some shit.
Yeah.
Like
You got me. Damn.
Tell us about the Dr. Umar interview, man, because that was like groundbreaking.
That's
that
a talker.
epic.
That's a
a
talker.
talker right there. Information.
Talker. I love that one because of that. He's a talker.
Yeah.
Again, and I didn't
Over
even
1 million views, right?
I was closing in on it.
Yeah.
I didn't even expect for this to be my theme of the interview, but like authenticity. But like,
I love it.
Dr. Umar basically, like, he all but said it. Like, I get approached to do media all the time. Like, I'm Dr. Umar, damn it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Remember Dirty D from Poodle? I'm Dirty D, damn it. Like, I'm Dr. Umar. Like, I'm on the Breakfast Club. I'm on this, I'm on that. Like, people approach me to do media all the time. But he's weary of doing a lot of media. Just because it's like, how much fluff are you gonna put on this, or what spin are you gonna put on this?
I'm about to say, and he's a person that it's very easy to mislabel or overly misinterpret or lead his talking points in a certain way to try to like manipulate it when it's clip up time.
That happens a lot.
Yeah,
That happens a lot
exactly.
though.
Yeah.
If you just watch or pay attention to him,
Yeah,
it happens
there's
a lot.
his Twitter page. The Twitter page is no context Umar because the motherfucker just takes shit from these larger 45 to 2 hour conversations and they just clip it down to 44 seconds and then they fucking just throw it out there and it's like, can you believe? And it's like, well, what about the 4 minutes before that and the 3 minutes after that? So because of that, he's weary about doing content.
Like, I look at it where, like, a lot of these shows, and this ain't even hating or whatever, but a lot of these people, like we talked about earlier, you really can't even get on the level to have a conversation with him in which it doesn't make him look crazy. It doesn't make you look uneducated.
Right.
It doesn't, it just isn't a bad look for the culture. Yeah. And we were more so like in talking to him because he was on his ass for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And was like, we just want to have a conversation, and our angle is just like showing the human side of Dr. Umar. Like who you are as a person. Like, what you laugh at, what you think behind it, what you do and think when the camera turns.
What are your core beliefs? What's what's your ideology that you live by? Because people have assigned certain things to you that you may or may not be attributing to yourself. It may not be true.
Right. You know, and we stayed on him, and Dr. Umar was just like, yeah, I like y'all. I like what y'all represent. I see what y'all are doing. He liked the fact that we were independent. He liked the fact that we were doing it all by ourselves. Just a lot of little things that went into it. And then, you know, just having a conversation and realizing like, yeah, y'all not dickheads. Let's do it. And we sat down and had a conversation with him 2 hours that was just like, when you really listen to it, I told him, I told you I'm re-listening all the content. I listened to it again, like just a couple months removed. And I'm just like, yo, this is a really good interview with Umar.
It is.
Where we had laughing moments. We had super high moments for like just feeling good about being black and coming from where you come from. It had like super real moments where you got a little bit in depth about certain things that we've all been through. It just was a really good conversation.
It was different for him.
Exactly. And a lot of people's feedback on it was like, yo, this is the best joint I've ever watched with Umar. Like all other media he's done, I like this joint with y'all.
We changed people's minds on him with our interview.
Yeah, when you look through the comments in the comments,
I can agree too though.
We had a 96% positive review rate.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, the comments on YouTube were nuts on it.
I know he probably didn't expect that.
Yeah, I was about to say, when we're talking about Dr. Umar, he gets so much backlash on, it don't even be, it be bullshit.
The Umar interview got us the Smart interview.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
building blocks.
Because that went viral.
That's huge.
Smart's team saw that and reached out to us like, yo, we want to do an interview with y'all. We love what y'all did. The Umar interview was phenomenal. How can we, collab and They reached out to us.
Yeah, and I just, you look at, like I said, content creation and doing it, and you just understand sometimes you're going to have a home run. Sometimes you're not. And that's the biggest problem with a lot of the shit that go on now. It's like people are trying to hit a home run every time they at the plate.
Right.
And unless you on steroids, this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's going to be a single. Sometimes it's going to be a double. Sometimes it's going to be a triple. Sometimes you're going to ground out. Sometimes you're going to strike out watching. And that's the way it go. But Ken Griffey's still in the Hall of Fame, even with them strikeouts. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it goes. So it's like you kind of just, like he said, all pieces to the puzzle. Where this interview might not do Umar numbers, but there's a method to the madness. There's a reasoning in this, and there's a need for this. So now when you go and we have conversation, we just did Mona, Don't Call Me White Girl. She's doing the live show with us. We just did her show. Mona's like, yo, I look like, damn, like y'all y'all got 500 fucking episodes. And it's just like, and then, we can sit back, and one thing, like, it's funny because we were talking on Patreon the other day, and he was like, this show is a part of my legacy. And it's something I don't really think about all the time. But then I sat and I thought about it, and it's just like, yo, when you look around Philadelphia, Omar Tate, Chef of the Year, DJ A Boogie, Ra, who works for Spotify, Barb, who owns Tasties, Kev, who's one of the biggest catastrophic injury lawyers in the city, Young Bob from Headshots, Louis V. Gutter, Core, Black Poppy, Bang Bang. When you start talking about acting, you talking about, Kyrie Terrell, who's got the work-based situation. When you start talking about just all these different things, Pastor Carl, Dope Shows, Tour.
It's part of your legacy.
We've had them all on the show.
Yep.
They're honestly...
Ayo, Spank from Plastic Cup Boys.
Clint Cole, like, there really isn't a more Philly urban culture show out here than TRPE. And it's some shit you don't really think about till you really think about it, but you just like, damn, we've had like the whole city on this joint.
Right.
And we've gotten to the point where throughout this whole process, we went from great orators to data miners and cultural critics and master interviewers. Like, I put our interviews up against anybody. Like, our Chris Gotti interview is the best interview on the internet. The first one. That's a fact. Like, question for question, interaction for interaction. Yo, how you know that? Like, just all of these different moments, you know what I'm saying, that came from that fucking interview.
Pick the gun up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like all of this different shit, you know what I'm saying? To the point where when we doubled back and did Gotti again, when we hit him up, he said, "Oh man, what you niggas done found out now? What the fuck y'all want to interrogate me on now?" And he was happy to do it. Like the first interview took a few weeks. The second interview was like, "Yo, it's Monday. Yo, Sunday. Be in North Jersey, and I'm gonna pull up on y'all." You know what I'm saying? He paused holiday with his family to come do an interview with us because that's how much he fuck with us.
He knew it was gonna be good,
and that's what happens when you go on there
organic.
and you give out positive shit.
Yeah.
Like when we get on this show, it's about boss talk. We bring y'all in because y'all are part of the bosses circle. Y'all are bosses in your own perspective lanes, and y'all bosses within yourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So we brought y'all here to talk about positive stuff and like, you know, to bring up some of the good moments that y'all don't get to talk about on your podcast.
Exactly.
Because y'all are on the podcast.
We're on the podcast creating more moments.
Creating more moments, right?
My thing, I mean,
go ahead.
stop you.
Do you think?
But my biggest thing when it comes to, at least we're different. We're different people by nature, but we align, and that's what the podcast makes you.
Our
align.
values align.
Our values align. That's just, there's no way around it. But I kind of, one thing that I respect and fuck with him about is the fact that I'm never doing an interview where I'm trying to like clown somebody or belittle somebody or make somebody look less than or uneducated or I'm never doing that shit, because I just feel like there's a good enough conversation based around just about anybody.
Yeah.
So like I was just running through just mentally running through them. We had Jay Petty on the show, and Jay Petty works for Wyatt and Kennedy. He started out at translation under Steve Stout. He's a marketer. He's literally one of the like execs now. He's the youngest black exec from Wyatt and Kennedy. Wyatt and Kennedy
in the whole advertising.
Wyatt and Kennedy, for those that don't know, they created Just Do It for Nike, and that's his bosses. So the Travis Scott with McDonald's, that was them. That was like them. You know, like shoot. So he's in marketing, and now he set up his own team out in Portland. And we had a conversation about just marketing from the black experience, to where it's like, I don't know if there's much media out there from the young urban culture where you're talking about marketing and how much it means and what it actually means to do it and be a part of it. From young black dudes from Southwest Philadelphia,
and changing the perception of what it looks like to be an executive of the #1 independent advertising company in the world.
Right, that's big.
You know, and the average person that get him on there and just start talking about nonsense. So do Stout be washing up and
like,
you know, just asking dumbass questions.
You're not
Bro,
really
so much
capitalizing
clickbait,
off
bro.
of
That shit
that.
be
Exactly.
burning me
And you
the
know,
fuck out.
that was the biggest thing for us, is like, we do interviews. It's like, yo, I more so want to like highlight you, or like bring a certain level of like humility to your name and to your brand. And that's the biggest thing with the Umar. When people ask me all the time, like, how do you feel about it? And I love the fact that you saw a lighthearted, joking side of someone that seemed as this like rebel, cracker hater person. When it's like, nah, he got a mission and he has an objective, but at the end of the day, he's human. We joked about the whole situation he had at Cherry Hill Mall when they tried to make it seem like he was talking to a white guy. And he just like, hey man, niggas with phones.
It's niggas with
It's
phones.
niggas with phones everywhere. Like, it's just, we for some reason, I don't know what, but like he just brought up our homie Ra, who works at Spotify. He's interviewing a lot of like people now, and he's interviewing boxers. He just had De La Hoya on. He interviewed Earl and Bud leading up to the fight or whatever.
Javante.
And he's like, yo, like, when do you feel like you get better at the interview thing? Because he's like, I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like I'm getting better or whatever. But he's like, I watch y'all, I listen to y'all, and it's just like, y'all just, these interviews, like, it's hard. Like, people don't realize it's hard to do 2 hours worth of content. The average motherfucker will sit down in front of a mic and realize, like, yo, 15 minutes in, I'm running out of words.
And we have content runs. We've had content runs where we did 9 hours of content in a day.
We did a 5-hour show one day. Like, so it's like, like you know, you get to that point where you really can just, you can do it. And you know, you go through the interview process of like, I don't just want to be messy. I don't want to be weird. I don't want to do none of that shit. But at the same time, I want to give people a look into who you are and what you view as decent, what you view as like, you know, and it's more so, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. We do interviews and we don't consider them interviews. We'd rather just kick it with you and turn a camera.
And we're and something that I stole from DJ Vlad is that, you know, he said that he's creating time capsules of like moments in history where it's like, you know, an interview that I do today may not be relevant right now, but something else will end up happening that makes this interview relevant, and then we go back to it. Then you have like the flashbacks and stuff like that. So we use these interview/conversation spaces or whatever, these streams of consciousness that we do with people to encapsulate like what they have going on at a specific time, and then that creates callbacks for us when they go and do something else or produce a movie or fucking go do a partnership with LeBron James or whatever. So then when they come back, we come back to, well, damn, but do you remember when you was just doing this? You know what I'm saying? And then that creates more conversation and more aspirational material. And you know, our thing is we're really big on storytelling and being exploratory with language and stuff like that, and not just like, oh, so yeah, you know, if 4 bitches got fat asses, how do you decide like which one you marry? Like this dumb shit like that. It's like that doesn't do anything. And so many people are like entertainment over everything and not realizing y'all are killing your content library.
Getting education.
But here go the crazy part. Not even education, because not everything needs to be an educational source.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That's the reason they have categories when you go into podcasts. They got society and culture, they got education, they got food, they got travel, they got all these different. Not everything needs to be educational, but I just think at a certain point, not everything needs to be mess, because that's not a category.
Messy.
You understand what I'm saying? Messy or just dumbass questions isn't a category.
Yeah.
And I to myself at times question, how do people listen to this shit for hours on end? All right, so you got 4 fat asses, right? 2 condoms. What you do? Like, it's just, how the fuck? I'm hitting all asses. I'm just, we'll figure it out. Like,
same condom.
Yeah.
Transfer that shit to them. Like.
So I still got 2 condoms left.
Yeah. So, So at the end of the night, I hit all asses. I still got my condoms. Like, you need a condom? Like that shit is crazy. So, it just, and the crazy part is we never really had to discuss that either. And that's something I don't think we really think about. We never sat down and was like, what's going to be our journalistic view on this? We just kind of understood it. Yeah. To where it's like, let's say we sit down with, I don't know, give me anybody. James Harden.
Okay.
Let's say James Harden. I know good and goddamn well we could sit down and have a conversation with James Harden, and it would fuck people up at the information you're able to pull or the stories that you're able to say or this, that, and the third, as opposed to, all right, so you at V Live, right, in Houston. It's 4 a.m.
What do you do?
How many bricks of money do you get?
Right.
When do you know is enough?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, Khloe Kardashian. Let's get into the real nitty
True
gritty.
that you had the car running while Lamar was in there dying. Did you drive her to the hospital?
And not having to set that up or understand that is one, it's a blessing, but 2, it's a skill. And that's something that we don't really harp on enough, or really, like how you say, like really sit in, understanding who you are and what you mean to people. And just the amount of people that walked up to me after we did the Umar interview or the Smart interview or the Barb interview or the Ra interview has become part of like sports betting culture, to where people who are like sports betting and really taking it serious, they like refer to them interviews all the time. You know what I mean? And seeing shit like that is like, damn.
Heartwarming.
Like literally the other day I was in Wawa and I'm at the kiosk, the girl leans up and was just like, yo, I love your show. I was like, oh, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I go over to the bathroom, I'm coming out and I'm like getting the sanitizer and shit. Bull comes around the ATM. He was like, oh shit, I'm listening to y'all in the car right now. I'm like, oh, thanks, whatever.
Crazy.
I walk out the Wawa. I'm walking back to my dump truck. The fucking Bull pulls up in his work van. He's like, yo, man, y'all be getting me through my day and shit. I'm just like, yeah. And the Bull who I was training.
That's why you do it, bro.
I'm training this guy to drive dump trucks or whatever. He was just like, yo, like, do this shit ever get annoying to you? I'm like, only when I be in there taking shit. Like, if I'm in there stealing, it's just like, yo, y'all got
blowing my spot out.
Blowing me out. Like, y'all got this. Yo, relax.
Right?
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, it's definitely an adjustment. But at the same time, it's if you weren't doing something right, that wouldn't happen ever.
That's why you got to keep on.
The thing is that you guys have, and you guys are blessed to have, is creativity. What you learn when you get into any industry is that people lack creativity, especially in 2023. Yeah. I heard something the other day. I forget where I heard it, but the new talent is no talent.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. More than creativity, I think people just lack originality.
Yeah. This is true.
Like, I just think everybody's trying to fit in a certain mold.
Yeah, they're doing their version of this. Like, we're in like the cover band era where it's like motherfuckers are copying things that they see from people word for word, line for line, bar for bar. Like, they let me get your whole format and remix it. So instead of my set being pink and green, my shit is pink and orange, and I'm gonna set up my mic on the same side that you set yours up, and I'm gonna go after all the same guests that you had.
Like, I keep it a buck with you. Over the last couple of years, you watch certain podcasts reach, I guess, if you want to say a quote unquote, the podcast pinnacle or the podcast mountaintop. And when they get there, you see a good 7 to 8 podcasts in that mid to top tier level all coagulate to look like that podcast is at the top. I remember when the original Joe Budden's cast got there.
Yep.
Do you remember when all podcasts started being like two guys on a couch and somebody sitting in a high chair?
Yep.
When Drink Champs got there, do you remember when it became centered around a big table?
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
No,
you
no,
watch all the little aesthetics.
We were talking about
you
used to be at a table.
You
Podcasts
watch.
used to be at a table.
Yeah.
You watch
Little ones of
people
these.
all do their like rendition of what's
of this
rolling.
thing that already works.
And you know, at the end of the day, one thing I'm proud about is like, even if we never hit the mountaintop, we did our shit.
Right.
We did what the fuck was our thing. Like our thing is our thing. And that be the biggest problem at times with all this, like I said, this real estate clout shit. It's like, we don't do what none of you do. And that's not a knock or a diss, and that's not a slight or even a big up. The reality is we do what we do.
And that's what makes you.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, one of my homies was like, yo, I was listening. We did our where do we do our 5th anniversary show? Was that the one at Punchline?
That was at Punchline.
We did our 5th anniversary show at Punchline. He was like, yo, and it made me go listen to it. He was like, I was listening to y'all Punchline show that y'all did for y'all 5th anniversary. And he was like, between you telling the story, remember the shit with Crazy Lou on Walnut Street? The whole breakdown about how TV has changed. And then Chad with you did the down bad Chad. Like, and it's crazy to think, do you realize you brought Tinder Swindler to like
at our live show, I talked about Tinder Swindler. I had watched it that weekend, and at that point on a Sunday night in February, nobody knew what the fuck the Tinder Swindler was.
Because it didn't drop with like this big like...
Yeah, it was just kind of appeared.
Like how we all knew the Redeem Team documentary was dropping. Nobody knew it was coming out. It just went on Netflix.
And I just genuinely watched it. I said, damn, stupid white girls, let me watch this. I'm all in on this. And I watched the shit and I talked about it, and the crowd was just kind of like, what the fuck is this nigga talking about? And then later that week, everything turned into my enemies, and all this shit from the Tinder Swindler. And then Cardi B talked about it, and then it was off to the races. It became the biggest.
And everybody was like, yo, going back, like Chad broke that at the live show. And my homie was like, yo, the live show y'all did between the Tinder Swindler shit, the TV changing, and then your shit. He's like, yo, this is like one of the best. Like, and you can hear it in listening to it. The crowd just kept cracking the fuck up and kept interacting and kept falling. It's just like, yeah, we have a knack for like storytelling and then being able to like, it's crazy, but even on our Patreon now, we've gotten to the point where we talk about whatever documentary or docuseries that we're watching to where people are like, yo, I'd rather listen to y'all talk about the documentary than watch it because y'all commentary on what was going on is so and that's the ability to one, take in information, but then be able to spew it. Because not everybody can remember numbers. Not everybody can remember years, remember moments, remember this, that, and the third. So, you know, it's yes, creativity matters, but at the same time, you have to authentically, originally just be you.
Absolutely.
Because it's like he said, there's only so long fake thugs can pretend. That's just reality. And not even on no gangster shit, but this just the more you ever see people where like they be one way and then they get around like who they work with and they voice and that. I be like, what the fuck? Like, cause people change.
People change, yeah.
But with this shit,
that's just
you have to be you
or you gonna be
on the mic, off the mic. Yeah, it's not like to the point where like, you know what people will say to me when they walk up to me?
What?
They be like, yo, man, I know you don't like people walking up to you, because it's like that's not an act.
Yeah,
it's weird. It throws me off a little bit because I'm over here taking hash browns with like you drawing right now. You know what I mean? So it's just you be authentically
yourself.
And, you know, you be surprised what you can get.
My best and worst quality is the same thing. I can't be fake. That's my best quality. That's my worst quality.
I
only know how to be me.
I keep it a buck with you. I've seen a lot of fake shit get rewarded when it comes to this. And me and him sat one day and was just like, yeah, I can't do the dick pulling shit. I just physically can't do it.
Yeah, it's not true.
I got a CDL. I'll holler at y'all in 4 months. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, I'll get the fuck out of here. Like, you know, end of the day, he came from the club shit. End of the day, we got other things going on. You know what I'm saying? We started a truck company. Like, we just got a lot of shit that we worry about and want to do. So at the end of the day, if it get to that point where I gotta be fake to be successful, I'd rather go be a real truck driver.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Right. I'd rather really do that.
Because that's not fake.
Seriously, I'd rather really go play poker. I don't want to fake.
Are you like poker too?
I've been playing poker for years. But like, I literally was at the point where I was ready to like cash in and just go do that full time. No, seriously, I got like homies that play full time in Vegas. Like
he placed in tournaments, all that shit.
Yeah, like Philly Poker Open, I came in 3rd place in 2014. 15.
That's dope.
So it's like,
Mean poker face.
Huh?
Mean poker face.
I mean, I don't know. I played growing up with my grandpop, and then like once I started really getting into it with like the math, because that shit matters now, and now it's so advanced now to where it's like, it's funny because me and Rob was talking the other day. I'm like, I want to know if I got one more run in me, but now the game has advanced so much because it's like sports betting. It's so much analytics and just, back in the day, it's funny, but like you in a poker?
Not as heavy.
Okay, I was about to say, do you know like the old school players? But like, they bring out the Doyle Brunsons and all these guys as like vanity plays in these new tournaments. But you ever really notice like they don't win anything?
Right.
Like they
just show ponies.
Yeah, them old cats, they don't win in poker anymore because you know who's tearing up poker? Fedor Holtz, 19 years old from Germany.
Damn.
But he literally, I was watching this one joint where he was playing 20 tables at one time. He has all these screens set up. He was playing 20 tables at one time.
Damn.
20 different tables. Doug Polk, he does a bunch of shit on YouTube. Literally, he won the one drop. Doug Polk was saying he's had moments where he go to like Jungleman. That's a big cash game player. He's like, I go to Jungleman house, and he was like, Jungleman's playing 68 tables. Just doing crazy shit.
That's crazy.
Because the game has evolved so much. It's like sports now. Like, think about this. Bill Russell won a championship, and they came to give him the trophy in the locker room. He had to put the Newport out. He's like, oh, shit. I didn't know y'all was bringing the trophy in. Like, that was how that shit went. If you remember, Carlos Baldomir was smoking cigarettes in the ring and shit. Like, you can't do that shit. No, like,
I think Ricardo Mayorga ate a cigarette.
Ricardo Mayorga, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, something they say is like, you know how good you gotta be grabbing a cigarette with boxing gloves.
No, for real.
But the way it was back in the day was it wasn't sports science. It wasn't all this medicine and therapy and all these different things. Floyd Mayweather sit in tubs of ice every day.
Just freaking talent.
Every day. Like, their bodies are just different.
Body a different way.
They said his dad was doing shit like taking frozen steel and laying it on his face, toughening up his skin on his face. Yeah, like that shit. You ever see when they get hit and they bring the cold steel to put it under their eye because it take the swelling down?
Yeah.
You ever watch, like, Mike Tyson said he was showing his neck workout. The nigga was like bent backwards, like crab walking, and on his head, and like moving his head up and down on the mat upside down to strengthen his neck muscles.
Championship mindset.
Like, you ain't just stepping in the ring because you like to rumble at the pub and
worth $3 million.
And a lot of things are like that now, where it's like, if you're not really ready to like dive into like we just talked about behind the scenes, learning audio engineering, understanding this when it comes to sponsorships, when it comes to ad, like even with our deal we got on the table right now, they threw us a generic deal. We came back with all these different addendums and change this and this and this, because it's like, some shit.
He probably was like, what the hell?
And what serves one podcast doesn't serve all. Like, this is not a monolithic fucking industry. Right. So if y'all already have 36 shows or whatever on your network, I'm going to survey the landscape, and we both independently did an audit of the whole network to see what they have on there and all of that shit. And it's like, all right, well, nobody records twice a week. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has more of a regularity other than like twice a month, really, at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, how can we differentiate ourselves and stand out? We'll go to a 2-show-a-week format, just to where every single time people go to view the network and see y'all current shows, we're there. So that's going to onboard more of this 1.6 million subscribers onto our show, because they're going to see we're the most consistent on the network.
Right.
So it's like, we go into everything with this fucking strategy.
That's dope. Well, so guys, because we there in the end, we want to ask y'all the staple question that we ask everybody that come up with Boss Talk. You know what I mean? Like, you're in the Boston circle. Of course, you wouldn't be here if, it wasn't a Boston, respective avenue, right? So I want to hear from both of y'all, like, what does it mean to be a boss? Everybody has a different answer. So
it's always unique.
Always.
Can I go?
So I want to go.
Just because I know you have like so much to say on this.
All right, we'll go. I'll wait. Do your thing. ISO on Matt.
I'm gonna just simply say this. Being a boss or a leader or whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's not just you. You know what I'm saying? And you realize, like, yes, technically I own half of TRPE, but it ain't shit without him. Like, again, every piece to the puzzle. It ain't shit without Big Dan. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? You understand that people more so want to be the boss so that I can say it out loud. Yeah, I'm running this whole thing. And I've never said that shit once because at times I don't feel like that. I feel like this shit is a group thing. And we aren't going to get up there unless everybody get the fuck to work and push the fucking ball. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's right. So I do, yes, boss culture, boss talk, everybody wants to be the boss, but nobody really wants to like deal with the shit that comes with it. When we do these live shows, one thing that is funny, because listen back to the old shows, you was like talking shit on one of the Jones was like, everybody from the live show who has anything to do with us has already been paid. We don't get paid till after the show. The DJ, the person doing the media, the Raj doing the video board, and the vendor for this, and the chair rentals, and everybody's paid. Because that's how boss shit is supposed to work. But you got a lot of people that's like, I'm the boss, and let me get my money, then y'all get what's left. And it's like, it don't work. That shit don't work like that. That shit don't even start. 99 for me, half for one for you. Like
start like that.
Yeah, it don't.
Y'all wouldn't even have the fucking chairs at that payment.
You know,
right?
The biggest thing for me is I came from a world where, let's just be frank, the society we exist in now doesn't really respect people who work on a blue collar level. Not I do. But society just doesn't have respect anymore for police officers, for EMTs, bus drivers. You've seen that shit. You just see the way the kids talk to bus drivers. You see the energy of the backdoor dickhead shit. You see the Ebony K. Williams, but I wouldn't date no nigga to drive the bus. He better own the bus. You see all of this shit. Yeah. And I was at that, I was making, I was tearing them up driving the bus. And I've just watched the energy behind me being a bus driver to me having this. And the way people engage with me now, it's totally different than the way people engage with you with that.
They wouldn't even know.
And that to me is the biggest shift of becoming a boss. Is like, you got to be ready for people that assume you have more money than you do. That's crazy. You got to be ready for people to just want to do the dick pulling shit just on the strength. And you just like, yo, act regular. Because I'm going to act regular. Like, act regular. But they, and I just know that if I came in here as bus driver Matt, it would be a totally different energy than me walking in with TRPE Matt, who done did the Roots Picnic, who done did a tour, who done did this, who got a partnership with it. It would just be a different level of the way you speak to me and talk to me.
For sure.
So that to me is the biggest shift of being a boss as a basically working somewhere. It's like, you got to be ready for the way people interact with you. My family thinks I have more money than I do.
Wow.
And I be having to tell them like no, be all the way transparent. I have less money because it's like, I'm focusing so much on this and shit going into this because I'm not working for anyone. When it comes to that big lump sum of money every week, you don't have that. This shit is like, yo, if you don't sell tickets to the show or if you don't do this or don't got no partnership, you might have to figure it out this month. That's the reality of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Is you really got like time, money, sweat equity, everything has to go into that. And you don't know if you're going to get anything back. When you work for somewhere, the second I clock in this bitch, I'm getting paid.
I'm getting every dollar.
I'm getting paid. What top right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? We at 35 yet? That's how it go. The second you show up, you getting paid. With this shit, you really don't know until 90 days down the line.
You got to create your value, and then you don't even know if the value calculation that you made for yourself is going to bear out what you thought it was on the other side of it.
Facts.
You can think, oh, I'm worth $200 an hour, whatever. Who's to say that that's what the money is going to look like on the other side of it? Because you're basing it off of your audience paying you, fan interaction, YouTube viewership, sponsorship money, all of this shit, which is stuff that you can, but you also can't control. You can put a great message out there. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate to the point where it's going to connect enough on the other end to be monetizable.
Right.
So with that being said, I don't know if this is an oversimplification or not, but just being a boss to me means sacrifice. Like, you got to be willing to sacrifice. And like he alluded to, everybody else gets paid first, and being the boss means you get paid last. You got a double, quadruple, 5-time check to make sure everybody's made whole before you put money in your pocket. And a lot of times people will just want the title of being the boss, being the CEO, being the person that's like, yo, come to my office and stuff like that.
We done.
Yeah, we done. We wrapping up now.
come to my office, come to my storefront, whatever. When in reality, like, you could have had a fulfillment center instead of a storefront and realized the extra 10% revenue share, whatever. But because you want to show people I'm in business,
Right.
you taking money out of your own bottom line. You're
right.
you're operating in a way that's counterproductive to
What
what it is that your real mission is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So really being the boss means that you're willing to sacrifice and you're willing to lay it all on the line for what you believe in and your
Hella
overall
sacrifices.
vision.
Mm-hmm. Sacrifice and compromise, man. And boss, I think we never really give our answer.
Yeah.
But I think we did in our first episode.
Yeah.
But I feel like being a boss is also like, it's a collective thing in unity, because being a boss to me is not necessarily creating workers.
Right.
A lot of people think that to be a boss, you have workers in line to do things for you.
Yeah.
I believe that when you're a boss, you're creating bosses around you to be kings with you.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? I don't want anyone to work for or under me, because if I go down or I slip up or I lose my fucking voice.
Right.
Just say for an example, if my voice is how I make my money, I'll lose my voice. Well, if the gang not right, then we all chalk.
Right.
Yeah.
But if the gang on point, my brother Josh can run a movie. I got a brother Joey that can help fill in.
Right.
You know, vibes like that. It's just because everybody know what to do.
Exactly.
We gotta roll.
Everybody know how to be the cameraman as well as the audio man as well as the person to sit down and talk. So it's like it's a moving unit. You know what I'm saying? So being a boss is pretty much that thing of being the janitor to the CEO.
And being
like you gotta be
and
both.
being willing to earnestly empower people and give them the skills or the information necessary to be on your level or be better
Above
than
it,
you.
yeah,
Right,
yeah. And not being the smartest person in the room. I feel like that always
If you were the
being
smartest
okay
person
with-
in the
with
room
not
all
being
the
the
time, it's
smartest.
okay with being the
Wrong.
smartest person in the room when you're a paid expert to be there.
Yeah, facts.
It's different when you're the smartest person in the room all the time. That means you in the wrong room.
right,
Get the hell
especially
out.
like in your friend groups and stuff like that, the people you hang around. Everybody got to be like,
50 Cent grandfather has a saying that I've adopted that I live by. You'll only be as successful as the people you talk to every day for no reason.
Facts.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Facts. That's your peers. That's a fact.
Guys, thank y'all for coming through, man. You know what I'm saying? We got into it, man.
Yeah.
Boss talk, you know what I'm saying? So official TRPE, the realest podcast ever, man. Y'all doing y'all thing. Keep doing y'all thing, man.
The weekend coming up.
Yeah, weekend
TRPE
coming up.
Get y'all
Saturday,
tickets.
August 26th and
Yeah,
27th.
27th.
Get y'all tickets.
Make
y'all.
sure I get
Go to
that.
our
You know what I'm
website,
saying?
officialtrpe.com. Grab the tickets. Go to patreon.com/officialtrpe. You can get a free 7-day trial of our Patreon.
Hey.
Worry free for
Make
the
sure y'all
highest
tap
tier.
into
You
all of
can
that.
take that 7
That's
days.
right.
You could go back 400 episodes. You can get all the content in 7 days for free. It's yours. You know what I'm
Guarantee
saying?
you'll stay.
If you stay on for the 8th day, I gotta charge you. You know what I'm saying?
But all right, then y'all, thank y'all. You know what I'm saying? Boss talk, Josh.
It's Keys.
We
It's
out.
been real, y'all.
Let's get it.